No, for sure, absolutely. Let's talk about something that we had a conversation on the phone about, in
Yeah.
preparation for this, given what you're talking about here in terms of like your interview subjects, and that's just like platforming. And that's something that people have been kind of critical of you in the past, and other
Yeah.
people as well, just like merely the idea that you would take the time to like have a discussion with someone like the QAnon shaman, for example. Like,
Yeah.
what is your own personal philosophy when it comes to having conversations with, individuals like that, and not necessarily like sitting down for an interview where you're just like grilling them to death. You're just kind of allowing them to kind of say their
Right.
piece so that you could actually understand their perspective. And from your own perspective,
Yeah.
like, where do you think the disconnect is with other people in terms of like being able to see your intentions when you're doing that and understand them?
Well, even if I disagree with someone, my intentions are to get to like the true core of what they're saying. And sitting across from someone and ridiculing them and grilling them to death and trying to, prove that they're wrong and intellectually like, big dog them just isn't effective. Because if it was effective, things would be different like they are now. And then, it's stuff like the Daily Show, like the Jordan Klepper style coverage that is leading to like this growing distrust with the mainstream media. And, they do a great job. But, as far as platforming, so much of the country feels this way. There's probably, I would say at minimum, like 30 to 40% at one point of the voting populace felt that way. And I think a lot of people who were concerned that I was platforming people, I mean, now you can see that it led to like an actual attempted like insurrection. So hopefully people can reflect now why I was so interested in talking to the Q people and flat earthers, leading up to what happened. But, when I think about it, for my philosophy, it's like I will give a platform to something that is already out there and well known. Like something like the Proud Boys. That's like pretty much household name right there. But I probably wouldn't give a platform to like a more fringe group, like I don't want to name anyone specifically, but like some of these alt-right people, podcasters, figures. I'm not interested in talking to them because I know that's just going to give them a bigger audience. If I'm platforming anyone, it's because they're already known to the public, and I think that people need to see what they're saying because it like has a concern, because it's like literally concerning.
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of important to illustrate your interview approach there, because one of the things that in terms of like not big dogging somebody, because I think that ends up being one of the most pivotal things in terms of like I'm just always amazed constantly by your access, because like you see CNN or whatever major news group run up on these same people, and it's like the response is always like, fuck you, get the fuck out of my face, and da 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 da, fake news, but when you're rolling in, even though like if you objectively look at your videos, like your coverage of someone from, say, maybe the Proud Boys isn't exactly flattering. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is, like, they still sit down with you and just say anything. It's like their guard's completely down, and it just kind of like, give me from your own perspective why you think that is, because even though you're not exactly like, you're not coming in there to suck these people dicks and say like, oh, you're the greatest, you're the smartest, I can't believe how, it's like, you're so right. You're not just like heaping praise onto them. And when you see the final product, obviously there is like a bit of editorial criticism there in terms of how they're portrayed, but yet still like they totally let their guard down and they just like let you, know everything that they have to think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I am just like an empathetic, a kind person in general. So the first thing that I think when I talk to someone that I disagree with in that way is like, why? Like, oh, kind of like when you're a toddler and you ask your parents the question, why, and you get to this like bizarre core truth. I sort of do a similar thing. And then if they're mad, it's just because I've held like a mirror. If you look at the way that like, CNN, for example, goes into these situations, they also make optics mistakes. Like they will wear like an N95 at like a Trump rally, which is just a red flag. So you got to make those little aesthetic adjustments if you want access.
You need an American flag N95 across your face.
I used to wear a USA gator like up to my eyes, like I was wanted by the FBI,
No, I mean, and well, that's another thing, like, especially like with something like, for example, the convoy video, like you go in there looking the part with like, the construction color, jacket and the hat and everything. Like you kind of blend in. You definitely try to like get into whatever the vibe is of the area where you're there. Or, we see you kind of play up the whole, thing with the suit and the tie to sort of like also stand out and attract people.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to drop the whole suit and tie thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just too much of a joke, like as I'm getting older, like, I'm doing like less jump cuts. Like I want to move more into serious journalism, obviously with still some humor. And the suit thing is just too over the top, like memed out.
Got it.
It's like Borat Anchorman energy. Because like I want to be able to get press access forever, right? So
Right.
if I do 10 straight years of ambush interviewing with a suit on and staring into the camera after I zoom in on your mouth while you're screaming, there's gonna be a point at which someone's like, this guy cannot come to our event. So I figure if I transition toward that way, it'll give me more access in the future because it won't last forever.
No, absolutely. When that does happen, not presuming that it will, obviously I'm not hoping for that, but like, when you do feel like there is a situation where you are getting less access, what do you feel like is going to drive that? Do you feel like everybody's going to be, oh, we know who that guy is, like, he's not going to give us the most flattering coverage, or is it going to be something else that kind of just like, prevents that from happening?
I mean, I just think if, like, for example, the PGA, the golfing organization,
yeah,
sent us an email saying you're never allowed to cover any of our events. And we didn't even apply. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even apply. But they were like, let's just make sure this fucker can never come to a golfing event as long as he's alive. So it's those kind of vendettas where I'm like, I want to be able to go to the, Waste Management Cup or some like PGA event where I can just like actually get into it about golf.
Right.
Mostly, sporting events don't let us go because like, oh, these guys aren't sports journalists. Like, They can't. They don't know a single player's name. They can't come to the game.
Is there also something, in the name Channel 5 that kind of has that intent behind it as well? Because if you just present people with the name Channel 5, Channel 5, that sounds official, or it sounds like every other thing named Channel 5, so it doesn't kind of raise any, red flags.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually own Channel 5. Isn't that crazy? No
really?
One had ever
Seriously?
trademarked or copyrighted Channel 5 ever. They have like Channel 5 KTLA, Channel 5, like different cities with their like news conglomerate in front of it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because, the call, it would be Channel 5 in the call letters.
Yeah.
But nobody would just be Channel. Exactly, nobody would be just, I mean, I've worked in radio. Nobody would just be Channel 5, just Channel 5.
No, it's bizarre. We got the name the name Channel 5 because like whenever we'd be doing an interview with someone who was like really trying to like act for the camera, but back in the All Gas No Breaks days, we'd be like, hey man, they'd be like, what's this shit called? We would just say Channel 5, so they would think that like maybe their mom or grandma would see it, so they'd be like, oh shit, I gotta go. So like whenever we'd get like the fucker right in the pussy, people who would like interrupt our interview, we'd be like, yo, this is Channel 5, and they'd be like, oh shit, my bad, and they'd be out. So yeah, that's why we did it. Okay,
all right. You mentioned kind of the philosophical direction that you're going in terms of like, the journalistic tone of what you do. As somebody who has spent years in journalistic institutions and studied it myself in college, is that your background?
Yeah, actually, I had a 4-year bachelor's degree in journalism.
Amazing.
From Loyola University of New Orleans. And I wrote for my high school newspaper all the time.
Wow.
But I think what they were preparing me for in J school was not journalism. Like they're preparing me to write for like a local paper or like a nationally syndicated news station for Gray Media or something where I'm in Panama City Beach, Florida, getting paid $25,000 a year to write about like local bakeries opening.
Mm-hmm. I know that vibe. I know that vibe.
Shout out to anybody doing that. Anybody laving people inside of a strip mall and being like, tell me what made you want to start this bistro. Like those people
Shout out to anybody on that grind.
Yeah, those are the people really doing the Lord's work. But like, I didn't want to do that.
Right.
I wrote from, a lot of my peers from college are doing that and they're kind of bummed.
Right.
Not on me, but on their own life,
Yeah. No, I hear that. I mean, honestly, like when I got out of school, I wasn't and went into NPR, which is where I worked for, a few years. I wasn't anticipating making a living on YouTube eventually. So, there you go. Right.